I paid $25 to a witch on Etsy to curse my toxic boss, and I think it actually worked. I know how that sounds. Trust me, I know, but hear me out. Because what happened next was so perfect, so poetic, so impossibly timed that I'm starting to believe in internet magic. This is that story. If you've ever had a boss who made your life hell, if you've ever felt powerless watching toxic people get away with terrible behavior, hit that like button, because this story is about karma, justice, and maybe a little bit of witchcraft. Subscribe if you want to see bad managers finally face consequences. Let's get into it. Let me paint you a picture of where I used to work. Imagine the most toxic, soul-crushing, mentally exhausting workplace you can think of. Now make it worse. That was my reality for years. Our managers didn't just manage, they berated us. They singled us out. They humiliated us in front of our peers. They threw us under the bus for anything and everything, even things that weren't our fault. Everyone was miserable. No one felt safe. Working late into the night wasn't optional. Working weekends wasn't a favor. It was expected. It was normal. It was survival. And at the top of this pyramid of misery was our department head. Let's call her Karen, because, of course, Karen was a textbook narcissist. She loved threatening people. She loved putting people down. She loved pitting us against each other, watching us scramble and fight while she sat back and enjoyed the chaos. The whole department was rotting from the head down. Everything toxic, everything cruel, everything unbearable trickled down from her. She was a real piece of work. Actually, she was worse than that, but I'm trying to keep this family friendly. When I first started working there, things were different. I was a star employee, I got promoted, I was handpicked for important projects, I had a solid reputation across the organization. People respected me, I respected myself. I thought I'd found a place where I could build a career. But you can only survive in a toxic environment for so long before it breaks you, and eventually it broke me. The constant stress, the fear, the humiliation, the impossible deadlines, the emotional abuse disguised as feedback, it piled up month after month, year after year, until one day I woke up and realized I was completely burnt out, broken down, demotivated, empty. I couldn't do it anymore. I started taking antidepressants, I went back to therapy, I gained weight, I stopped seeing friends, I withdrew from everything and everyone. I was drowning, and no one threw me a life raft. Naturally, my performance started to suffer. How could it not? I was running on fumes, I was barely holding it together. And Karen, being the compassionate leader she was, decided to use my rapid and very noticeable decline as ammunition. She rallied her little posse of enablers, documented every mistake I made, twisted every missed deadline into a character flaw, and systematically pushed me out. One day, without warning, they fired me. Just like that. Years of hard work, years of loyalty, gone. At the time, I was devastated, humiliated, angry. I felt like a failure. But looking back now, she did me the biggest favor of my life. That place was poison, pure, concentrated poison, and getting out of there, even if it was forced, saved me. I spent a few months unemployed, rediscovering who I was without that job defining me. I remembered what it felt like to wake up without dread, to not check my email with anxiety, to actually enjoy my life. And then I found a new job, a way better job, with normal people who treat me like a human being. Wild concept, I know. But here's the thing. At the time, right after I got fired, I wasn't thinking about silver linings. I wasn't thinking about fresh starts. I was bitter. I was furious, and I wanted justice. No, scratch that. I wanted revenge, because why should she get away with it? Why should she keep terrorizing people? Why should I be the one punished while she kept her title, her salary, her power? It wasn't fair, and I couldn't let it go. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I went on Etsy. Yes, Etsy, the website where people sell handmade jewelry and vintage mugs. Except I wasn't shopping for jewelry, I was shopping for a witch. And I found one. She had great reviews, 5 stars, people swearing her spells worked, testimonials about exes getting karma, enemies facing consequences, justice being served. So I messaged her. I explained my situation. I told her about Karen, about the abuse, about the injustice, and I asked if she could help. She said yes. She offered up custom revenge spell, $25. I paid it immediately. I didn't even hesitate. And let me be very, very clear about something. This spell was not meant to physically harm her. I'm not a monster. I didn't want her to get hurt. I didn't want her personal life to fall apart. I specifically requested that the spell focus on her career. The idea was simple: reveal her true nature, let people see who she really was, return all the negative, toxic energy she put into the world back to sender. Give her a taste of her own medicine, poetic justice, magic with a little magical nudge. The witch said she'd cast the spell within 48 hours. She sent me a photo of the ritual setup, candles, crystals, herbs, the whole deal. It looks legit, or at least as legit as internet witchcraft can look. And then I waited. Days passed, weeks passed, nothing happened. I started to forget about it. I moved on, got my new job, started rebuilding my life. The spell became a funny story I tell friends over drinks. Remember that time I paid a witch on Etsy? Good times. Until a few months later, I got a message from a former colleague, someone who'd become a real friend after we both escaped that hellhole. And she said, "You're not going to believe what just happened. There was a major shakeup on the team. HR got involved, people finally spoke up, told the truth, shared their stories. All the things Karen had done, all the people she'd hurt, all the toxic behavior that had been swept under the rug for years, it all came out. And this time, there were consequences." They didn't fire her, let's be honest. Companies rarely fire people at that level. But they did something almost as satisfying. They removed her from her position, stripped her of her title, took away her people managing responsibilities. She got transferred, demoted, humiliated. She went from department head to just another employee, no power, no control, no team to terrorize. Just her sitting in a corner somewhere, probably fuming. When my friends told me, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I could believe it because Karen deserved it. But the timing, the fact that it happened just months after I cast that spell, the fact that it was specifically her career that got destroyed, exactly like I'd asked for. It felt too perfect, too poetic, too impossibly aligned to be just coincidence. Now, do I actually believe the Etsy witch made this happen? Honestly, I don't know. Part of me thinks it's ridiculous. Magic isn't real, spells don't work. This was just karma finally catching up. People finally got brave enough to speak up. HR finally did their job. Justice was served the normal way, through complaints and investigations and corporate accountability. That makes sense. That's logical. But another part of me, a part I didn't know existed before this, wonders because the timing was too perfect, the outcome was too specific, and maybe, just maybe, bending the arc of the universe toward justice sometimes requires a little push, a little intention, a little belief that wrongs can be righted, even if you have to hire someone on Etsy to help. Here's what I know for sure. Whether it was magic or karma or just people finally standing up, toxic managers can face consequences. They're not invincible, they're not untouchable. Eventually, the truth comes out. Eventually, people get tired of being afraid. Eventually, justice happens. And if you're someone stuck in a toxic workplace right now, dealing with your own Karen, I want you to know that you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you won't be stuck there forever. And if hiring a witch on Etsy makes you feel better in the meantime, $25 well spent. Just make sure you're specific about what you want, because apparently it might actually work, and you want to make sure you're cursing the right person for the right reasons. So here's my advice. Document everything. Keep records, find allies, speak up when you can, leave when you need to. Your mental health is worth more than any job. Your dignity is worth more than any paycheck. And if all else fails, there's always Etsy. I'm not saying you should, I'm just saying it's an option. A $25 option with surprisingly good reviews. If this story gave you hope, if it made you believe that toxic people do eventually face consequences, smash that like button. Drop a comment and tell me about your worst boss story, or if you've ever done something petty and satisfying to get back at someone who wronged you. I want to hear it all. And subscribe for more stories about justice, karma, and the occasional witch. Thanks for watching, and remember, the universe has a way of balancing things out. Sometimes it just needs a little help.